Hello and welcome to the two Best of Edition. I'm Binyamin Tjong-Alvares with some of the week's most interesting stories. With me in the studio are Shai Ringel and Daniel Roth. Good evening.
Good evening.
Microsoft held a big event to announce new hardware, and there were some big surprises. The new offerings include two high-end smartphones aimed at helping revive the company's struggling mobile phone business. Microsoft also introduced a new tablet and the biggest surprise, a new laptop. Let's see Microsoft's introduction to all their new devices before we dive in.
There are those that will tell you it's too difficult, too challenging to even try. But you refuse to accept any limits. You have big ideas and the drive to make them happen. That spirit that compels us to move forward is not just in some of us. It's in all of us.
So, gents, very interesting technology there. What do you say?
It's a very big week for Microsoft. They finally have some good press this year after years of getting, at the bottom of the food chain media-wise. Windows 10 is a really big step for them. But it's interesting to see that what critics love most and what the media loves most is not the software, it's the hardware. So Microsoft went and they now have a bunch of new hardware. They were never a hardware company. Their philosophy in the 90s was, we'll make the software compatible to everything.
Microsoft. Are they trying to become like Apple, more like a hardware company then?
Kind of. It's a different kind of strategy than Apple. The idea behind putting so much hardware is saying to hardware manufacturers, look, this is how you can do it. This is how you can maximize the software of Microsoft. Now go after this phone and this laptop and this tablet and do your own thing. But
so you're saying they're trying to set an example for the market as opposed to take over the market.
Exactly. But because their products, maybe I didn't try it yet, the new laptop, the Surface Book, they call it, maybe it's too much of a good thing. Maybe the book, the new laptop will be such a success, Microsoft will be dragged into trying to become kind of Apple. Apple do not manufacture their software to anyone except Apple.
Right, Apple is very specific to what they do for their own technology, their own sort of little group of cronies, so to speak. Is that really such a big step, creating this laptop? Microsoft is a giant.
Microsoft is a giant, but it's a software giant. And creating a laptop is a whole new opportunity for Microsoft, and it's a huge deal because they can fail miserably in the hardware division, and they can lose a lot of money. There's a lot more money to be lost when you make hardware devices. And they did not only introduce the laptop, they introduced a band, which is kind of a smartwatch, and they introduced the most interesting device, in my point of view, is a little device that you can connect your phone to and connect a screen and a keyboard and make your phone into a computer.
Very smart.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting philosophy for Microsoft because they're saying your phone is a computer, your tablet is a computer, everything will run Windows 10, which is the same software for everything.
Right.
So this is the really big story for Microsoft.
Obviously, we're talking about phones that use Microsoft software, obviously, Windows 10.
So, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, what we're saying here is that it is actually a big step. They are actually making big strides in hardware, in the way we're able to interact with our devices. And that's kind of cool to be able to say, you know, there's so many times when the media focuses on a minor step Apple has done, the screen's a millimeter bigger or smaller, and everyone's up in arms about how wonderful it is. But here's it's kind of refreshing to have actually a kind of cool new thing to report that is interesting, and it is a major step for a company.
Yeah. Okay, well, a very interesting story, obviously, about Microsoft. Let's continue to the next topic here. Ever since the Washington Post wrote a story about Peeple, calling it the Yelp for people, the internet is abuzz. The app itself allows you to assign reviews of between 1 and 5 stars to your fellow human beings. Sounds deeply sinister, but that's only because it is. The app is in beta and hasn't launched, but its controversial purpose has landed it a lot of attention and even some investment. But at the end, the bad press and threats the developer got online made her change the app completely. Here's the company's co-founder, Julia Cordray, essentially congratulating herself on garnering so much media attention.
The Washington Post article was the very first American media that hit on, was that yesterday? Holy shit.
Spoken model Chrissy Teigen expressed her discontent, tweeting, "In an age where both truth and gossip on the internet can literally ruin lives, this Peeple app is horrible and scary."
Hello, Julia speaking.
Julia, hey, it's Jen Susan from CNBC. I'm available tomorrow.
I am available tomorrow. We'd have to book something. So just let me know what you're hopeful on, and I'll do my best to accommodate you.
Okay.
So just let me know what you need, and we'd be happy to make it work for you.
I love you. Thank you.
And we love you.
I'm a previous Canadian. I lived in Toronto. I'm not Canadian, but I lived in Toronto, so I love Canada.
Awesome. Go Canada, hey? Or maybe blame Canada. Who knows? We'll see how this all goes. These are pretty common phone calls now. We've got ABC, CBC, BBC.
Blame Canada. I love that.
My home country, yes.
Indeed. Toronto, of all places in Canada, the worst of all.
The worst of the worst.
I'm really just kidding. It's not true. But why did this really get so much emotion from people? What happened here?
This is the edge for a lot of people. This is where the beauty of interaction and connection and social media hits its peak and goes over the edge for most people. When the original idea was that you would find out if you were being rated by surprise. Right. So you wouldn't have any control over what ratings are up there about you, and you wouldn't necessarily be making yourself a profile to be rated in the first place.
Why do we care about this?
Well, it's the internet is where the public is. That's where the public eye is now. It's why advertising online is such a big deal. It has nothing to do with the intricacies of the technology. How advertising works matters online, but what matters is that there are billions of eyes on the internet, and so when people's attention is there, that's the town square. And that's where people get their information about people. And that's why people care so much. And it's a very dangerous precedent if we're going to allow sort of the lack of control. There's a big difference between people who go out and sort of create for themselves public personas and people who are trying to be friends on Facebook with, the 500 people they've ever interacted with. There's a big difference.
It's a funny story. We like to make fun of this story because the developer, got so many death threats and bad reviews before the app was even launched. She decided to scrap it all and change everything. But the idea behind it is still frightening people. She herself couldn't get the fact that she is in the public eye, and now everybody started to rate her. After a couple of days, she posted on her personal Facebook page pleading for help in order to block the rate system on Facebook because everybody was starting to rate her app. And finally, she got the taste of her own medicine, which is a cautionary story.
They used to say that any media is good media. Anytime people talk about you, at least if you're in the spotlight, it's a good thing, right? But I guess this has kind of changed perceptions on that.
Yeah, one of the best things about the internet, there are a lot of not so good things about the internet. One of the best things is that bad media is simply bad media. Sometimes bad media means that this is it. This is the threshold. She got money for an investment, and even after getting the money, she couldn't deal with the media. She could have said, "Okay, guys, look, I know you don't like me. I know that you don't care about the app, but someone just invested $7 million in my stupid app." That can put
so there you go.
Yeah, so that can put stars
any idea can get $7 million.
Yeah, but even after the money, the money doesn't mean.
Let's not get too stuck with her here. Let's just move on to the next topic. Yeah. She doesn't deserve it, right? One of the most popular tools for blocking online advertising was just purchased by an unknown buyer, the browser extension Adblock, not to be confused with the more popular Adblock Plus, joined what it calls the Acceptable Ads program, meaning now advertisers can pay Adblock to show their ads. It seems the Adblock extensions are once again making headlines, with iOS 9 now approving apps to block content. Is this the media's worst nightmare?
Yes. That's the short answer.
That's the short answer?
Yeah.
Period. Let's go home.
Yeah. Look. Adblock has been the media's worst nightmare for years now, and it's only gaining popularity because, let's face it, media now needs advertisement because nobody is paying for money because everybody is poor. It's part of the deal where in the 90s, you were able to pay for your content and you were able to pay for your operating system. Nowadays, Windows is free. And this is a whole part of the fact that there was, at least in the US, a middle class.
Right.
Of people who could pay.
Once upon a time.
There's no middle class anymore. Right. And we prefer to get our media for free. So the media said, okay, we'll give it to you for free, but we'll put a lot more advertisement inside of it. It will be much smarter. It will track you. It will know everything about you. There's a lot of information to be gained. When you look at our ad, we'll know if you clicked it and how long did you stay there. And then people started to say, okay, I still want the free stuff, but this is way too much. And when this got way too much, Adblock began to gain popularity, and and there are a lot of extensions like Adblock these days, and this is the big nightmare for media outlets where people are getting their stuff free, but advertisement are not getting into the people, and media outlets need you to see and click on the advertisement.
Yeah, I actually think it's a great challenge for advertisers. I think what we're seeing now is the refined taste of the public. People don't want ads, and they don't want bad product placement like you see in a movie like Transformers, where it just flashes to an Adidas shoe or something for 30 seconds, and it's very clear. People want subtle and they want funny, and they want it to be integrated because nobody wants to waste time watching an ad or clicking on an ad or waste eye space on your screen. So I think what the challenge is for advertisers and media companies is to figure out how to subtly, and in cases where it works, funnily make it work. So, for example, Stephen Colbert with the Oreos in his debut show, everyone agreed that was product placement, obviously, but nobody seemed too bothered by it. Whereas in cases like Transformers, or in cases like having strips of banners on your Facebook screen, people are rejecting it. So I don't think it's the end of the world for advertising, but I do think it marks a significant challenge. You can't just transfer TV ads to the internet, and we see that now.
Yeah, but not a lot of people are going to know that the banners are now better because they are blocking it in advance. people got used to Adblock. They got used, and now they'll get used to new apps for the iPhone that can block content. There was the story of a guy who made an app to block any advertisement, and in the first 2 days, it got launched. When it launched, it went to the top one in the iTunes, which means that people are looking for it. People are looking to block ads, and they're used to it.
Right. Well, they're used to blocking the ads. They're used to having ads sort of, assault them, so to speak, from all different directions.
Yes. Yeah. Both. I mean, we're really on the cusp of something new in terms of advertising, I think. And it's actually dangerous if they're too integrated. It's dangerous if they're not.
Okay, well, integration, and on that very nice note, Daniel and Shai, thanks for joining us on theTube, and that is the end of our edition, special edition, weekend edition. Join us again next week for more on theTube, and Jason will be back, hopefully, or maybe he won't be, but if he's not, then you can always dream about him, and you can think that he will be. So, you can watch him on Facebook. So, there you go.